Look guys, I found a wild horse lane. Well, the theme for January was truth, and the theme for February was change. And in neither of those months have I been able to sit down and talk with you guys about those. So I thought I'd just give you a truth and a change. And the truth is that I've watched Bella go downhill over the last little while. In the weeks prior to our stay in Harvath, Arkansas, she lost quite a bit of weight, a lot of her top line, which is the muscle and fat mass in their back, around their spine, their upper neck, top of their hindquarter. And I stayed in Harvath nearly 3 weeks in hopes that she would gain some of that back. And she did gain a bit. But since we've left there, she's lost it all. And she looks even worse than she did before we got there. I've watched her go from the horse I was always stepping out and keeping up to a horse that's struggling to keep up with the rest of the group. And it makes sense. She's nearly 17 years old, and Denver and Eddie are significantly larger than her, and they're younger and in shape. And it's a lot of work for her. She's walked nearly 1,800 miles from Heber City to Thayer, Missouri, and I can't watch her go through this anymore. All right, guys, it is day 149, and I am in Mountain Home, Arkansas. We've got a pretty long day today, but luckily Tom drove the load ahead for us. So huge thanks to Tom Fox for putting me and the horses up this weekend. We're gonna be headed over to Viola, and we've got another 19 miles left to go. It's gonna be a 24-mile day. Okay, guys, we are coming up on the bridge over Norfolk Lake. And that is beautiful. I think that makes a new record for longest bridge of the trip over Norfolk Lake, Arkansas. For the longest time, I kept telling myself, oh, well, she could at least get this far, or at least get to this point. You know, she won't make the whole trip. But reality's starting to sink in. Change is necessary. Healthy change is what we all need in life to be able to adapt and overcome. I've got to send Belle home for her sake, and it kills me because it was always her. She was always the horse I saw myself doing this trip with. Long before I ever had Eddie in Denver, I always knew I'd do this trip with her. Brought up a whole nother question. Can I continue this trip without her? And I had to break into gear and analyze everything and see if we could get down to one horse packing gear and one riding. With all the people I have driving the load ahead these days, all the support that I believe we can get through these next legs of the trip, I think I can do it. I know I can do it. It'll be fine. Doing this trip with two horses. Eddie and Denver are in great shape. Doesn't make it hurt any less. If it weren't for Belle, I wouldn't have made it this far. She's the only horse that had her crap together when I first left. She was the horse that could take me down any city street, over any bridge, up and down steep cliffs, and I could rely on her to take care of us. She's overcome so much. She's shown these other two boys how it's done, and they've gotten real handy now, Denver and Eddie. She's helped get them ready to have what it takes to continue to do this trip without her, and I take some comfort in that. And maybe she's done her job. Maybe that was her goal, was to get us this far. If I were to continue to push her, it would very likely start to take a toll on her joints, on her bones, and she could be crippled, or at the very least start coming up lame, and I've been able to avoid any of that up until this point, which I'm so grateful for. And if I send her home now, she could avoid any of that, and potentially gain all her weight back and maybe come out for the last leg of the trip. I've got to do right by the horse. Okay, it is day 150 of the year of the Mustang,
And today we're gonna pass through Viola and Salem, Arkansas. And we got some nice cool weather going. Got Jessica taking the load ahead for us today, so huge thanks to her. We stayed with the Coggins family last night out on their farm. And we're gonna go try and pass up Salem and find somewhere out there to stay. But yeah, this may be our last full day in Arkansas. We're hopefully gonna pass into Missouri tomorrow. If not, then the next day. And into Viola, 356. Not quite the smallest we've seen yet.
As hard as it is, and I gotta make a change. It's time for Belle to go home. Thankfully, Jessica Coggins, who I stayed with in Viola, Arkansas, offered to take her in and keep her at her place. I gotta extend a huge thanks to Pal Feed for not only feeding us here while we were in Thayer, feeding the horses, supplying us with hay and grain, but also they are going to be supplying Belle while she waits to get ready to be trailered back to Utah. They are covering her feed. So a huge thanks to Pal Feed in northern Arkansas and southern Missouri. They've been a huge help. Thanks to Josh at the Pal Feed in Thayer. And huge thanks to Jessica and the Coggins family for being willing to take in Belle. She'll be off to Utah in a number of weeks here, and we're going to continue to follow her journey. I'm going to continue to update you guys on her progress and where she's at as we go along. And Denver and Eddie and I are going to continue on. We're not slowing down. We're going to push on ahead. Along with that, Jessica will also run all my extra gear back to my home when she makes that trip to Utah with Belle. So today when I shoe these horses, I won't be shoeing Belle. I'll be pulling her shoes. She'll be just fine without them. We're just trimming her feet, letting her go rest. She's gonna go get months and months and months of rest. So that's what she needs. And I hope to have her back out here at the end. On the day I made this decision, I knew it would cost some money to be able to trailer her home. And the same day that I decided to send her home, in my GoFundMe came a very generous donation from a very kind person. And it was just more than enough money to be able to trailer her back. So a huge thanks to you guys, all of you guys who have supported us financially. That's what takes care of these horses. If you want to continue to do that or haven't yet, the GoFundMe is called You're the Mustang. We also do super thanks on YouTube. That all goes towards feeding, housing, and shoeing these horses as we go along. And now for Belle, it's gonna cover her trip home. So a huge thanks to you guys for your support. It means so much to me. I always wanted my 3 horses to be able to do the whole trip, but that was never the trip. The trip was to ride Mustangs through 30 states, to go the 7,000 miles to make it, not to quit. So I've got to do whatever it takes to continue on while still doing right by the horse. So for that, I'm grateful to Belle for the part she's played in this story, for everything she's given to get us this far. And I'm gonna think about her every day as I go along. Denver, Eddie, and I will still carry her with us in our hearts, all the way to the East Coast and to the West Coast and back home again. She's an incredible little mare who's done so much. She's got a lot of heart, but it's time for this change, and that's a good thing.
Okay, we are going through the town of Salem. Going over the South Fork River. Guys, that bald eagle there just swooped over my head. He's chasing a snow goose. He is hauling after that goose. Dang, can't see through the trees, but dang, that was crazy. He's still going after it. There they go. There's the eagle. Goose landed on the lake. I guess that eagle doesn't want to get wet. It's crazy. See that white goose on the pond? That thing just gave that bald eagle a run around. Okay guys, we are now riding state lines between Arkansas and Missouri. So we're gonna be taking this state line road into Thayer, and that'll be the rest of our day. So I got Missouri on that side, Arkansas on the other. That is the sound of African guinea hen, which a lot of people keep with their chickens to keep them safe from predators. They are very brave birds, based on the fact that they thought they were gonna go run off a group of horses. Well guys, we just officially left Arkansas, so long to state number 7. We are back in state number 8, Missouri. We'll be here for at least a week, probably a little more. Yeah, huge thanks to everyone in Arkansas for all their help. Fantastic people there. Looks like it's gonna start raining on us. Luckily, we are just 10 minutes out. Some thunder. Okay, good morning guys. Today is Friday and I am camped in this announcer stand at the Thayer Rodeo Grounds. So yeah, thanks to the folks who hooked us up here. Gonna be getting some horses into new shoes today. So got a farrier named Buck bringing his rig down later. And we'll get that done. Right now I gotta go through some gear. Okay guys, so because this trip is going down to 2 horses, everything's got to change. How I'm carrying the load, what we're carrying. We've got to lighten the packs because we're getting down to 1 set of panniers and 1 top pack. So that's going to change everything that I'm able to carry. Now, because of the support we have now, we'll definitely be able to get by without a lot of the stuff that I've been hauling along with me. We've definitely been hauling pretty heavy for a good amount of time now. Way more than I need to be with the amount of resources I'm actually using out of my packs on a day-to-day basis. And that's kind of the struggle with things. Sometimes you carry things that you might need once a month or every 2 months, but when you need them, you need them. But then you're carrying them all that time. So it's a serious vetting process, deciding what we actually will need long term and what we can find other solutions for down the way. But that's just gonna be the name of the game now that we're down to just Eddie and Denver on this trip. So I know it doesn't really look like it, but right now I'm creating 2 piles, a pile to send home with Bella and the pile that's gotta get reorganized and reloaded into my now single set of panniers. All right, guys, I'm here with Blake and Jonathan. Jonathan here's got a T22 DJI Ag drone. So what are you doing with this?
So this is a sprayer drone. It's made for spraying herbicide or pesticides, whatever you need. This particular drone's got a 55-pound weight capacity. It'll spray 5 gallons. Generally, you run like a 2-gallon per acre job. We're just doing some practice loads. We don't actually have any loads in here other than water. We're just flying it over the flat terrain before we practice on Blake's harder terrain.
Okay.
And see here, I'm just going to tell it to go execute a job over there. Hit start. And I'm going to see if I can not touch the controls at all.
Well guys, huge thanks to Buck Thompson. He's helping me get Denver and Eddie shot and set for the next 8 weeks, hopefully. Yeah.
And you're welcome.
Thank you so much. Don't call him because he's a shoer and he's busy. Or do call you, I don't know. Well, 1,800 miles, she's done her share. Time to send her home. Okay, it's our first day with only 2 horses. Okay, good morning guys. I am in Thayer, Missouri, and today we're gonna be headed 20 miles to Job, Missouri. And it's the first day with 2 horses. I've got Brian and Janine Blankenship hauling the load ahead to my stay. So huge thanks to them for all they're doing. And yeah, it's kind of weird having 2 horses. It used to be an impressive sight going down the road, and now it just looks like I'm going to the sale barn. But nonetheless, we're still going. We're figuring it out. I got everything organized down to where we can pack what I need on 1 horse, and I sent a bunch of stuff home with Jessica Coggins, who's gonna be trailering Bella here back to Utah in a couple weeks. We're in deep water here in the south, ain't we guys? Well guys, thank you so much for tuning into this week's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss all the videos we have coming out weekly on the Year of the Mustang. Until the next one, adios.